Hi, it's Roger Hamilton here, the creator of the Talent Dynamics and Wealth Dynamics profiling system and Genius U. And I'm here to share a little bit about how Talent Dynamics works as a system and why it's so different from other profiling systems that are out there, how it helps you to build trust in your business, flow, and ultimately to impact your bottom line. Well, first of all, 10 years ago, we had the origins of all of this with Wealth Dynamics. I'm an entrepreneur, and I actually created Wealth Dynamics as a way for entrepreneurs to find smarter ways for them to grow their business rapidly. We've had now over 500,000 people who've taken Wealth Dynamics and the Talent Dynamics test, which was created about 5 years ago in order for those who were in companies, large organizations, to be able to actually use these same tools within your team as well. And I'll tell you why this works and how it's so different from other profiling tools. The first one is, like other personality tests, it really focuses at your strengths and actually points out also where you're weakest to get others to be able to support you in those areas. But it goes beyond that. The first way it goes beyond that is because it's very intuitive. You can actually see exactly who the role model should be, the ones who right now are in contemporary business, the ones that right now who are out there leading large companies that already fit into one of these 8 different pathways. And I'll be able to share that with you in a moment. Second thing is all of this relates into time, which means that while most profiling systems give you a winning formula and a losing formula, what most fail to show you is that all of us are going through a continuing accelerated shifts in time where we all can see that teams are moving through cycles faster, our organizations are having to adapt more quickly, and even our industries are actually moving at a pace that they just simply weren't 20 years ago. So by understanding that there are these 4 seasons to time and that the profiling system has winning formula and losing formula in each season is allowing you to see exactly why it might be that 3 years ago something was working and it's not working anymore, and how winning formulas become losing formulas, and losing formulas can also become winning formulas. So how does this work? Well, first of all, by understanding that when it comes to all of flow, which is our ability to actually get others into flow with us, and when it comes to the concept of trust, which is this idea that basically people are willing to bet on us, these 2 concepts can be linked to an equation, which is that all of your talent, which is what you naturally do well, equals an equation which is value multiplied by leverage. Why do I say value multiplied by leverage? Well, if we think about all the cells in the body, why is it that we have 7 billion people on the planet and we still can't get along when we can take our entire body where we have over 1 trillion cells and somehow they get on just fine? It's because cells have a primary purpose, which basically is to ensure that, number one, they're contributing to the whole, because if they stop contributing to the whole, then they're going to end up being rejected, and that's the concept of value. Value is where you're trusted, just like a cell is trusted by the body, and how you're trusted by your team, or how your team is trusted by the company, or even how the company is trusted by the market that it serves, is going to basically be what actually allows you to actually have longevity, sustainability, and more importantly, revenues, because people will be paying you the more they trust you to actually deliver what they're looking to buy from you. The second thing is leverage. Leverage is about flow. Because while your cell in your body might have a primary purpose, which is to make sure it's actually adding value to the whole body, it also has another part, which is a connector between the cells. Cells are the carriers which actually take value from one place to another. So in the same way, there's this concept of flow, which comes to leverage, which is where your profit comes from. Leverage is about creating something from less and making it more. In the same way that if you actually can take all the value that exists in your team and you make it more, well, there's your excess. And that's how basically you can start measuring the revenue and profitability in your business and increase them by actually taking these 2 drivers of value and leverage. And there are 2 opposites to how these are created. So within the Wealth Dynamic square, you'll find that there are dynamo frequencies at the top who are very, very good at having their head in the clouds. They have a particular thinking dynamic which allows them to be creating value through innovation. You'll have some people in your team that do this really well. If you're a creator right now, that's someone like a Richard Branson, or someone like a Bill Gates, someone who's really good with ideas. Someone like Johnny Ives, who's really well known in Apple for being the creative genius. He's allowed to just focus on doing that really well, and that's where he delivers all of his value. The weakness of a creator is that they're not so good with timing. They're not necessarily going to finish everything when they say they're going to finish it. They're always going to actually, over-expand the thought of what could be done. They're always going to over-exaggerate the possibilities because they're optimists by heart. But the most important thing is by knowing that if you actually focus at someone's weakness, you're always going to end up cutting them down, but you focus at their strength and actually shore up their weaknesses with a team that can support them, your creators will end up getting 10 times the results that they might be getting right now and loving every minute of it as well. So a creator is someone who has their head in clouds. And the opposite of that, which is ear to the ground. This is your tempo energy, which is at the base of the talent dynamic square. These are the people who are actually really good at timing. So someone called a trader, which could be like a trader in the markets, someone who's really good at buying and selling, but also someone who's really, really good at service. These are people that you will find from the Melinda Gates in the world today to people in the past like Nelson Mandela, people like Mahatma Gandhi or Mother Teresa. These were people who are very good at being able to be sensory, and they were very good at service and serving. You have people in your team who are really good at doing that, and if you're trying to judge them on their ability to put a 5-year plan together or even a 1-year plan together, they'll fail you. But if you actually look at them from the activity that they're actually delivering and how much they're getting repeat business from the customers that they're serving, then suddenly you're going to find that they actually shine, and that's what traders do really, really well. Those are two opposites, top and bottom. But if we cycle around, we'll find that after the creator, we get to someone called a star. And these are the people in your business who are really, really good at promoting. They're the people like the Oprah Winfreys of the world. They're really good at personalizing, and as a result of them doing that well, they have this amazing ability to be able to actually take whatever it is, whatever product you've got, and to personalize it to whoever they're speaking with in such a way that you actually have that ability for that person that they're working with now to actually build on the marketing side, to build the way that the market's even responding to them as well. But if you're trying to judge them by their ability to do the numbers or do the detail, they'll really fail you every time. These are people who are dynamo, which is a frequency of innovation, and they're really good with a thinking dynamic, which is all about their intuitive thinking, head in the clouds, but also where they're extrovert, which means that they're very good with people, and that's part of their action dynamic. You see, in the same way that there are two opposites of how we think, which is intuitive and sensory, which allows us to actually have those who are creating value through innovation, as opposed to those who are creating value through timing, which is what a trader does. You also have got two opposites of leverage, which is more kind of like left brain, right brain, and that's where you're going to find on the extrovert side, those who are most focused at the people, compared to on the introvert side, those who are most focused at the systems. And these are two chalk and cheese opposites of each other, where when you're strong at one, you're by nature not going to be focused as much as the other. So those who are on the extrovert side, we call them the blaze geniuses. That's like someone who's a star, who's very good at being able to ask the question what, but also very good at asking the question who. And then that's then followed by the next person called the supporter. And the supporter profile is someone great at leadership, right? This is somebody like a Jack Welch, someone like a Meg Whitman, someone like a Sheryl Sandberg in Facebook, who's really good at being able to lead, didn't have to create any ideas, but amazing at being able to lead the team. And you might have the wrong people leading your team right now. So finding out the right supporters and getting them on board is going to be critical. And of course, you can be using the talent dynamics profiling to do that. From that person who should not be measured based on how much they're good with the numbers or the detail, because they're much better with the people, you then have the next person who's a deal maker. A deal maker is now someone who's still extrovert, but good with timing at the base, as opposed to the innovation at the top. So this would be a deal maker like a Donald Trump, right? Someone like a Marissa Mayer, who is well known at Yahoo for doing deals. This is someone who's really good at connecting the dots and being able to find the value by bringing the right people together at the right time. But they're not the best at putting the systems together. So knowing that you shouldn't be judging them on that, but you should be judging them on their ability to make that difference with the team and with the people as the peacemaker, that's really important. Ban Ki-moon, who is the head of the United Nations right now, is a perfect example of a deal maker. We mentioned the trader already, who's someone who's really good at timing and at service. So you've got to get the right person in place that can actually support you there. And when you're actually going through the cycles of business, you can start to see now the top is the spring energy. And then we have the summer energy, and then we have the autumn energy. And each one has a different energy as you're going through these cycles as well. And then we get to the next person along who's now more introvert, but still very strong with timing, and that's the accumulator profile. Someone like Warren Buffett, who's an investor. Someone like Carlos Slim, also another investor. These are people who are very, very good at waiting for the right time to act, and then they act. And there's a very good chance there's some people in your company who are great project managers, who aren't the most creative and don't need to be, who would rather not spend their time listening to all the stories, but actually want to know when are things going to happen, how are they going to happen. And those people there, when they're in their flow, are the ones who are actually getting the timing right, getting the detail right, as opposed to being put out in front of the crowd and being judged for their public speaking skills, right? So this is the accumulator profile, which then leads to our Lord profile, the opposite of a supporter. A Lord is someone who's very introvert now. And the opposites of leverage is you have the ones who can magnify, which is when they say, how can this only happen with me? So sometimes you don't want to take the people who are best at doing it and take them out of the equation. Sometimes you've got to put them right in the middle of the equation to do the deal or to build the brand or to manage the team. And then the opposite of that is the multiply, which is how can it happen without me? Magnify is making it complex and making one. Multiply is making it simple and making many. And you're going to find people like accumulators are great at putting systems in place. The Lord profile, who's someone who's really good at detail and analysis, is brilliant if they're in your finance department, or if you're in your process and procedures, or even in your HR side where they're actually making sure everything's in order. That person is really incredible, provided they can focus at that, as opposed to having to be compared to those who are being more creative or more extrovert. And the final person is the mechanic, who now is back up into dynamo energy again, where you're now talking about someone who's creative, but creative of systems because they're more introvert. And that will be someone like a Jeff Bezos or a Mark Zuckerberg. And remember Mark Zuckerberg when they listed Facebook, where they were criticizing him for the wrong dress sense or not spending enough time, kind of like deal making with all of the different investors. That's because that's not his natural flow. His natural flow is being able to go out there and code and spend time with his other mechanics who are all there creating the system. And that's how he became a multi-billionaire, and that's how he became a good leader, by focusing on what he was best at rather than trying to be something that he was not. These 8 different profiles each have different role models. They each have a different path. They each have a different way that they link with each other to create the right team. And most importantly, they link with time. So as you start building your team from form to storm to norm to perform, as you start actually going through the 4 cycles of your business or even your industry, from the spring to the summer to the autumn to the winter, you're going to find that the questions change, and the people that are best at asking and answering those questions, they also change. From those at the top who are always asking the what question, to those who are on the extrovert side who are always asking the who question, to those on the timing who are always asking the when question, to those on the detail side who are always asking the how question, knowing that it's about getting the right person who's best at naturally asking the right question and then finding the right answers that allows you to get your entire team into flow. And once you do that, just like the cells in the body, not only do you end up with a fully functioning company in flow, you also end up with every different person in there getting true fulfillment from their job and having an ability to truly serve in a way which is most natural for them.